DW.
What? What?
You ready?
No, I'm ready. No, this is going to be fun. No, look, we're getting ready to do a practice show here, and it's me and Jeff and Larry. I don't know where Mike Joy is. We left us here all alone. I don't think that's a good thing.
But it's
Bristol, baby!
Beautiful 71 degrees, track temp 87 degrees, and man, DW, we always love coming to Bristol. This place is amazing, and I'm looking forward to seeing what is going to happen today on track.
You know what? My racing IQ always goes up when I come here.
I know why.
I like this place a lot, as you well know. It's challenging. It's the toughest track we go, physically, mentally, emotionally, noisy. It's all the things that we live for, thrive on, and we're getting ready to experience that right now.
Yeah, and they have laid down that traction compound. We've talked about PJ1 on the bottom groove, so we're going to wait to see how that affects the handling of the cars, how that lays rubber. But one thing we know for sure at Bristol, it's going to be intense and it's going to be fast, and it all gets cranked up right now.
Got cars on the track. Let's go down there and see what's happening.
William Byron, first Cup race, that 24 car. He's running a K&N race here. He's running a truck race, running an Xfinity race. 4 laps ago, he had a little bit of a moment, I believe, getting into turn 3.
Nice run last week, top 10.
Turn 1. Turn 1, DW, and you can talk about it, a little trickier. It comes up on you a little bit quicker. You have to really be on the bottom with a lot of wheel as soon as you land, because it seems like this corner in 1 and 2 is less sweeping than 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Well, we see Brad Keselowski on track, a little wiggle off of turn 2, but he's a little tardy to practice today.
I think there was a conflict on his schedule. It showed 12:30. He's on his way from the bus. I'm not sure. I don't know how that happened, but he just called me right now. He's like, "What's on the track?" I said, "Cup cars." So he's on his way.
Wow. Just, my schedule was completely different, so sorry I got that all wrong, but.
In his defense, the original Bristol track schedule put out probably 2 months ago definitely had everything 30 minutes later, and then it got changed.
I've been late to practice before, and I can tell you that this is a track you get your heart rate up real fast when you get on track. Probably not a bad thing that we got Brad Keselowski's heart rate up as he ran over here to the infield to get in this number 2 car. Since I've been coming up here into the booth and working with Fox, we look at a lot of stats, and we like to find out who was the man or is the current record holder. And, buddy, hands down, you are the Bristol. They should just call this DW Speedway, not Bristol Speedway.
Well,
then look at these stats. I mean, August 77 to April 1984. I know you had 9 wins or 7 in a row, but I go back to the entire record. You had an average finish of 1.5. Oh my goodness. You own this place.
don't ask me how I did it, because I don't really know. I just love this joint. That's all I can tell you. It's right in my wheelhouse. Vince, get us out of this mess.
That's no mess.
DW, you try so hard to be humble. With Michael McDowell, started in race trim, they've switched over, so getting ready to go out in qual trim. But what I find interesting, you were the very first one on the track. There were a lot of guys waiting. Why were you the first one on, and what was that like considering the conditions?
Yeah, so it's always a little bit tricky, especially with you know, the extra grip down there. But I just wanted to get in the rhythm, check our heights. You know, it's the first time I've been here in a Ford Fusion that loves travel style, so wanted to get a feel for it. This is a rhythm racetrack, really good speed in race trim. Switching over to Q trim, and business is about to pick up here as we get into the final 20 minutes of practice.
That's for sure. Thanks, Mike.
So, Jeff, there's always someone lurking. There's always someone lurking. You know, you hate to have wins at a track and it's a yeah, but you were pretty good here yourself.
Yeah, but nothing like you. I mean, I love
you're
this.
so humble.
I'll be honest, I love this track, and you know, whether I'm a spectator, commentator, or a driver, I absolutely love coming to Bristol, and I was pretty fortunate to win a few. I was laughing. I was talking to William Byron yesterday, and I told him about a time I was here leading this race and spun out by myself. So a couple of them got away from me, but I'm sorry, 7 in a row. Nope, nobody's ever going to touch that.
That's unbelievable. I got to tell you, I don't know how I did that. Quite a bit of damage to the right rear of the 47 car. A.J. Allmendinger losing in turn 1. Let's take a ride with him and see what happened here.
You know, when you're on a qualifying run, you're going to slide and hang it out. So, you know, we see he goes down into turn 1 here. A little bit loose there, gets off the bottom. Again, loose off of turn 2. So he was definitely handling and dealing with a very loose race car. Loose again here off of turn 4. We go inside with that suspension camera, and this is turn 1. Doesn't save it that time. Back steps out all the way, but he does a great job jumping back in the throttle. That could have been a lot worse.
You watch him here, Jeff. I mean, the car is obviously loose. I think all these drivers saying that maybe that first lap or two, you got to deal with that kind of condition, but that was a little bit more than what AJ could handle.
Boy, that all started on the exit getting into turn 1, didn't it?
Yeah, he had his hands full all the way down the straightaway, on the back straightaway and the front straightaway before it finally came around.
Looks like the nose, his car, saw like the 24. Looked like they get over on the right front just a little bit, and it bites, and then the car jumps out from under you.
That we got an issue with the 4.
Poor car in the wall up here, guys. Kevin Harvick.
Guys, I was looking dead at him. I'm going to tell you, that thing, I don't know if it bottomed out or what. We'll see it here. That thing just took off and never turned. Take a look at it here, guys.
Coming down into turn 3. Down on the bottom. Then up the hill it goes.
Oh, that's weird.
Almost like something happened to the car. I mean, to take off at that point in the corner, the car didn't look like it was loose.
We're right on board with him. Oh, tire.
Yeah, heard something.
You heard the pop.
You all right? Good. Just broke something on the left front. Just glad you're all right. It's a hard hit.
Yeah, Vince, you have more?
Yeah, I was just going to add that radio from Kevin. Didn't realize that you guys had it all the way to the end of him commenting on the left front, but you see the team already hard at work as Kevin surveys what little bit of damage there might be, and then also obviously maybe looking for what did in fact happen at the left front that caused that incident, but the team already working to get that backup car out as practice. We're at red now, but under 8 minutes left.
Guys, take a look at this shot right here. All right, you're going to see he goes down in there, and then the car goes straight up. Now, just before he hits the wall, I want you to watch the back of the car. Right about, look at there. See, something broke. I don't know if that's part of a brake rotor. I don't know what it was. Something broke to his point on that race car.
Yeah, it seems like something broke, and then I thought that I heard a tire pop, like then maybe it cut the tire down, sent him into the wall. But definitely something failed on that car.
You get so much deflection in that right front tire. It could be any number of things. Yeah, you definitely hear a tire pop. It seemed to me like it was a right front.
I'm wondering,
said a left front.
You talk about the deflection, if that was the first lap of that run, a qualifying run. I'm just wondering on those pressures, that load, if that tire didn't get into something and rub it and cut that inside of the right front tire.
I've had the sway bar arm before rub on the inside of the tire when it starts rolling under like that.
See the 47 team unload the backup car. Remember 2018, of course, the 4-wheel as well, Kevin Harvick's team. They got a lot of work to do because those cars do not have any engines or any drivetrain in them right now. So a lot of work to do by these two race teams. We got a busy day here on FS1. Coming up next, Xfinity Series practice, NASCAR Race Hub at 2, final Xfinity Series practice at 3, Race Hub at 4, and Cup qualifying Fast Friday at 4:30 Eastern time.
Yeah. What do you think, DW? Who do you got for qualifying? Who are you going with?
I really like that Jones boy. One of my favorites.
Well, you got Kurt Busch, Larson, Blaney, Kyle Busch. I mean, there's a lot of good ones, but boy, I like the way Blaney's looking.
All right, coming up next, Adam Alexander, Michael Waltrip, Larry McReynolds. Shoot, I better come over there. I got to change
Get over here, dude.
We'll be up next with Xfinity Series practice. It's Bristol, baby. Qualifying time, Bristol Motor Speedway. Fast Friday, qualifying on FS1 for the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. And I feel so honored. Yeah, I'm back in the booth, but I'm standing beside two guys 12 Bristol wins, 5 Bristol wins. I think I worked on a car that wrecked here 7 races in a row.
Yeah, between the two of us.
17 Bristol wins between these two. Wait, it's Fast Friday, guys. It's qualifying time.
It really is. And you know what? This is when you go out. This is like a roller coaster ride. I mean, you're going to hold your breath for 15 seconds. You can do that, can't you?
I think
hold
I
your
can.
breath 15 seconds. Don't run 2 laps.
Now, DW, I was just going to say, typically we come to Bristol and it's just all about grip and tons of speed through the corners. We've not seen that today. When they put this traction compound down, it's been slippery. These cars have been getting up out of the groove, coming around. We've already seen some cars in the wall having some issues, and we think we're going to see some fast speeds if you can keep that car on the bottom of the racetrack. In the Exalted Chevrolet up to 4th. Sorry, 6th.
How about Allmendinger in that repaired race car, the 47 car, up to 4th at a 15-13.
They fixed that thing real good.
That's the way it's supposed to work.
Always love it.
Paul Menard, Wood
Yeah.
Brothers, 15:04.
He looked great in practice. He loves this racetrack. Blaney, who was fastest in practice, he's up to 3rd.
David Reagan 5th. All Fords in the top 5 as we're closing in on 2 minutes to go in round 1.
Logano looked decent on that run. I think he's just getting up to speed. Car looks pretty fast.
You were riding with Alex Bowman in that 88. 3rd quickest, 15:05.
See what Logano's got, Larry. Looked like a pretty good lap.
Logano to the top, 15 flat.
Wow, we didn't see a lot of speed out of him in practice, but when it came time, he definitely put that lap up there. A little slide from the rear tires of Clint Boyer off of turn 4.
Oh, boys. Kyle Busch has arrived. 14:87. He goes to the top.
I really didn't think we would get down to the lap times that we saw in practice, but Kyle Busch, that's a 10th off of what we saw as the fastest lap in practice.
Yeah, I just think, Jeff, once they get a little heat in that PJ1, it really creates a lot of grip.
And the one who was also tied with Ryan Blaney for fastest in practice, Eric Jones, right now on the back straightaway.
He didn't look good on that first lap. The car was loose off turn 4. Let's see what Jones can do on this one.
Yeah, Darrell, he's run 3 laps, and he's 17th right now to 15:19.
Car was really loose, Larry. Sideways a couple of times there.
41 over 51. 1 minute, 1 minute.
All right, we're going to switch our tracker to the 24 spot right now. Ross Chastain now, well, it keeps moving. Martin Truex Jr. 24th right now. Now he's out. Matt DiBenedetto's 24th.
Boy, a good chance Eric Jones could get knocked out, and Larson's down in 22nd right now. 23rd, Austin Dillon.
And if you've not started a run now, it's not going to happen. We're down to 39 seconds. You have to be out on the racetrack now.
What the 19 run? He's 12th. 19 is Warrior's car looked pretty fast. Bubba's out there. He's 16th right now. That car looks good.
Yeah, Matt DiBenedetto still on the hot seat in 24th. Bubba Wallace goes 16th at a 15:16.
Jamie McMurray just crossed the line, 15 seconds to go.
But that's just
also Newman in 31.
Right off pit road. I don't know. Can he really be up to speed, Jeff?
True. That's very true.
I don't think. You better hurry.
Time has expired.
Yeah, see, 15:89. He never got
But
up to speed.
did he cross the line in time for this lap? That's the question.
I think he did. I thought I heard he say it was good.
I don't think Newman did, though.
No, the one didn't make it.
One
One did not make it. One did not make it. Denny Hamlin gets knocked out of the top 24.
Wow, that's huge.
And Martin Truex Jr. Ryan Newman almost got there. Matt DiBenedetto is in at a 15.223, and Ryan Newman is a 15.231.
Advanced to round 3.
See Bubba Wallace, 43 car. He's out of the race car. I believe he's looking at us.
Bubba, that says it all right there.
Staring us down, making me uncomfortable.
That was funny.
Most of the drivers, they have about 3 laps on their tires. Now, Kyle Busch, he only has 2 laps. Bubba Wallace, one of the drivers that actually has 6 laps. But the majority of everybody that's going to advance this second round, they have about 3 laps on their tires.
Unfortunately, when Bubba looked over at his crew chief, Drew Blickensterfer, he actually had that look on his face.
Yeah, but Drew's saying, hey, don't do that.
There you see Joey Logano, Kyle Busch 2 laps, Michael McDowell 2 laps. Majority of these drivers with just 3 laps on their tires, and one of them, that throwaway lap, And here you're going to see Darrell Wallace Jr., William Byron, as well as Eric Jones with 4 laps on there.
And doesn't look like it.
No. Slowed down about a 10th, 15:11. Matt DiBenedetto, 15:28. David Reagan, 15:58. Austin Dillon, 15:73.
Larry, when you see them slow down like that on the second lap, they got those tires aired up to the max. Get all you can on that first lap.
David Reagan jumped up to second, 15:22.
You probably have about 55 pounds of air in those right side tires.
Chase Elliott, second, 15:12.
Just a little over a minute to go here.
Comes Paul Menard, see what he puts down.
Somebody is going to get in somebody's way. There is no question.
Yeah, only a minute, little over a minute to go.
Alex Bowman, 88 car, second, 15:05. Blaney, 14:95.
We've seen great speed out of Ryan Blaney already here today. Oh, I see where.
Oh boy.
The 10 of Almirola got caught up on McDowell, and there's a train of cars already through turns 1 and 2.
Well, we're down to 45 seconds to go.
Hey, that 43 looked like put down a pretty nice lap that time by.
Keselowski up to second.
Riding with Kurt Busch in that 41 car.
Yeah,
pretty clean lap for him. Not a lot of traffic.
14:87 for Kurt. Kyle Busch second. 14:87.
Reversed rolls.
So we're going to flip our tracker to the top 12 as we're down to 10 seconds to go.
Yeah, right now that's Clint Boyer. Chase Elliott knocked out. Casey Keene knocked out.
Comes William Byron as well as Casey Keene.
24.
Byron 6th.
24 is single flag.
Logano in 6th quickest on that last lap right there, guys.
He timed that perfectly.
William Byron, he will not get credit for that lap right there. So Joey Logano sneaks in there, but it's the Busch brothers again, just reversed from round number 1.
Yeah.
Well, we pretty much knew somebody was going to get in somebody's way, and you see Jimmy Johnson, who qualified back there in 17th, going to have a little conversation with Darrell Wallace Jr. But guys, I just don't see how anybody can be mad at anybody. They're the ones that waited.
Yeah, right.
And I promise you, this is not the only conversation happening. Here we see it. See the 43, then the 48. The 34 is back there. The 10 was involved in this too. There was just a train of cars. Vince?
Well, there it is, guys. 2 minutes to go.
And there's. Hey, wonder if Kurt Busch will just roll right on over to that back straightaway and keep rolling.
I think the intent this time would be to nail that first lap. Like I said, you got a few laps on your tires. You got some heat in them. Let's get out here and get us a lap. Here goes a 12.
Ryan Blaney.
Blaney will be pretty fast. I think he was all through practice.
Larson rolling right behind him.
Yeah, Kyle Larson was one of the first drivers to go in round 2. In this round, we have 7 Ford drivers, 3 Chevrolets, and 2 Toyotas.
I'm really anxious to see what Ryan Blaney puts for a lap up here, because he was the fastest in practice. Showed some pretty good speed in that second round.
So far, so good. Cars right on the bottom. Looks like
missed the bottom a little bit right down for turn 2. I don't think he could finish the throttle, but
gonna hurt his lap time, I'm afraid.
Yeah, 14:96. Not bad. Not bad. Ooh,
he got way up.
Yeah, not going to be able to finish this lap with any speed.
We're under a minute to go, and all 12 drivers are out there on the racetrack right now.
Boy, Kurt Busch really flew through turns 1 and 2, right glued to the bottom.
That car is on the rail.
Oh, it looks really good through 3 and 4.
Could be in the 14s without a problem.
Boom, 14:89. Kyle even faster. And I thought Kyle missed the bottom a little bit in 1 and 2, as you see, does again there, but he carries good speed.
8.95 to an 8.97.
They'll both run another lap. Kurt Busch slows down that lap. Kyle Busch slows down that lap. So right now they are still 1-2 with 13 seconds to go.
See here, Bowman right there just playing with the throttle. Couldn't quite complete it off of turn 4. Stenhouse in the green. Lost a little bit right there off of 4.
Stenhouse goes to 3rd in that 17 car.
It's on a tear this weekend. That 17 bunch is.
How about the Busch brothers? Then Keselowski jumps up to 3rd.
Yeah, Keselowski jumps to 3rd. So Kyle Busch, he's going to win the pole. His brother Kurt, this will be the 3rd time that they have started 1st and 2nd. Let's see what Kurt had to say.
Oh, just a little slid the nose, just a fuzz before the center.
And just for the record, the difference, 2/1000th of a second.
Somebody mentioned the date was Friday the 13th. I thought that was kind of nice.
I think a few were reminded that it was.
I think there's a few drivers. Kevin
by the
Harvick
way,
probably
if you
realized
file your taxes Sunday.
Friday the 13th. All right, we'll be back here to Bristol Motor Speedway to wrap it up and see what's going to happen maybe tomorrow when we get ready for those 2 practice sessions and get ready to race for 500 laps on Sunday. All right, there you see our menu for tomorrow. 2 cup practices, one at 8:30, one at 11. Xfinity Series qualifying at 9:30. Race day 12:30. And Xfinity Series from Bristol, Joey Logano will join Adam Alexander and Michael Waltrip in the booth. Guys, this has been fun.
Yeah,
today.
that's
really
good. Thank you, Larry.
And Larry, you do a great job.
Yeah, you do.
Fun working
Great
with
job.
you.
So you have a great night coming up next on FS1. Speak for yourself. We'll see you here from Bristol tomorrow. Good morning from Bristol, Tennessee. You better believe it, the last great Coliseum, Bristol Motor Speedway, High Bank short track racing. Grab you a cup of coffee this morning and enjoy some Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series practice. What a beautiful morning. I think spring is finally here, guys. Look at that, 57 degrees, track temp 69 degrees. She's going to have a lot of grip this morning. Good morning. I'm Larry McReynolds here with 5-time Bristol winner Jeff Gordon and the man that won 12 times, but 7 in a row, 3.5 years. Nobody won a race here but Darrell Waltrip. Guys, qualifying's in the book. Let's get ready to race now. What are we going to do?
Well, it's a little early, but and you were right about grab that cup of coffee. I'm sure there's some drivers down there right now and say, what are we doing right now anyway? But the track should be fast. They just put that PJ1 down again this morning, so there's going to be a lot of grip out there. It's cool. This thing's going to be fast this morning. Yeah,
I mean, every time you come to Bristol as a driver and a team, what you're looking for, not too loose in, not too tight in the center. Give me some drive off. I don't know if they're going to have any of that this morning, but that's what they're going to be working on to get ready for this race.
It's called a menu. Here's my menu for today.
You saw that they reapplied the VHT as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
Even lengthened it on both corners. That maybe explains what I'm seeing now, because it's sure turned black. First 2 laps of the Mars race will be exciting. And these cars don't like coming off a pit road, taking the first couple of corners.
That's his spotter, Joey Meyer. I'm not sure there's another spotter that gives more information than Joey Meyer.
Yeah, you know, he's a pilot. He's a pilot, and he thrives on information. And Brad is a scientist, so they work really well together. He gives him the information, and Brad, he just deciphers it any way he feels like he wants to. But they did mention, I do think, Jeff, if you look off both corners, off turn 4 and off turn 2 over there, they did put the traction compound a little further up off the corner to help these guys get off. Remember yesterday we saw cars come off that traction compound and jump sideways? I think that's what they're trying to correct.
And I think that, you know, that's important, because I think if you want to have 2 grooves, which I think is what they're trying to go for, here's the 88. Let's see. As he comes off of this traction compound, he was actually already a little bit loose before he even came off the corner and off that traction compound. But I think to have 2 even grooves, if that's what they're going for, that traction compound needs to come off that corner a little bit further than what they had yesterday.
Yeah, because we saw yesterday cars just kept, get out. As soon as they ran out of the traction compound, they just jumped sideways.
Now, Ryan Blaney has run a total of 16 laps. Vince, they're taking a little break, it looks like.
We're making some changes to the race car. What kind of changes are you guys making? What are you looking for? And also, what's the difference you feel in the newly applied traction compound in relation to maybe what you anticipated?
Yeah, we've not had the best speed so far in practice. We've kind of been loose in and tight in the middle, which is kind of hard to get around, but we're working hard on it. But yeah, you can definitely feel it a little bit wider, and it goes further out the corner. So you're not really fighting as much of, like yesterday, you could be really tight in the middle, and then the sticky stuff would end, and then you'd be all over the place. And here, a little bit longer, so you're not fighting that as bad. So that's a little bit different, but I think we got still a pretty fast car. Nice to have Rev and Fleetwood with us, but we got a little bit of work to do, but we got 2 practices to do it.
Constant adjustments down here by these teams.
Drew Blickensderfer for allowing us to run that with this 43 car this weekend.
Here's what I think Bubba looked like from inside the car underneath that shield.
You got a problem?
He's looking at Drew Blickensderfer saying, what are you going to do with this thing?
You know what he said? I'll sing if I want to.
Now, he's one of the few drivers to run 20 consecutive laps. In fact, in my book, he's really the only driver to do it, because Kyle Larson, I think that's a little deceiving because of all those laps he ran up in the middle of the racetrack.
I love it when we see a shot like that of a driver right off the racetrack, because you can see how hard he's breathing. You saw Bubba, he takes real deep breaths and trying to catch his breath, because I'm telling you, this joint is breathtaking.
The next practice comes, it's going to be completely different. The whole track is going to be different, not just their setup.
Boy, how many times have we seen this? Ryan Blaney in that 12 car. It's like everybody absolutely has their hands full. That's going to end this first practice here on Saturday morning with Kyle Larson at the top of the sheet. Ran a total of 70 laps in that 42 car.
And Larry, if I'm going to try something and see if I can make the car better, or in some cases make it worse, I'm going to do it in this practice, and I'm going to throw all that away and put the race setup in this thing when we get to the next practice.
But as far as long runs, which that's what it's all about, best consecutive 20-lap average, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in this 17 car, he's at the top of that sheet with Kurt Busch, Darrell Wallace Jr., Kyle Busch, David Reagan, Jamie McMurray, and Kyle Larson, all on that best consecutive 20-lap average.
And Larry, I don't think, you know, we have long greens here now. We didn't used to have. We used to start 43 cars here. We're only got 37 cars on the ground here this weekend. That little bit, those few cars at the back of the field makes a huge difference.
Vince.
Joey Logano was top 10 in that practice. How would you evaluate your car and the track conditions?
Yeah, changing all the time, at least. Our Auto Trader Fusion had pretty good speed in the beginning of practice for sure, and we never put tires on there, so I'm not really sure where we stack up. I have to look at the lap tracker to see where we are in speed, but yeah, I think everyone's kind of fighting the same thing, just watching your broadcast a little bit from inside the car. I see a lot of cars getting loose into the corner. You know, I think it's just a struggle for everyone to try to connect it right now from the entry to the 2/3 and the exit part of the corner. So everyone's still on the bottom and waiting for. I saw Larson was starting to go with it, but no one went with him.
Why weren't you up there with it?
I guess I'm not that good of a friend. I don't know.
Boy, I'm looking forward to that final practice. Now, coming up next, NASCAR Xfinity Series qualifying, followed by Race Hub, then Final Cup practice, followed by another edition of Race Hub, and then NASCAR Xfinity Series Race Day, and then the Dash for Cash, a $100,000 bonus to a driver in the NASCAR Xfinity Series race. Coming up next, Adam Michael and some dude they call Larry Mack.
Mac Daddy.
Rounds of qualifying. The first 15 minutes. Round 2 will be 10 minutes, and that final session will be 5 minutes to run for the pole. And if you remember yesterday, during Cup qualifying, everyone played the waiting game, but as the track opens here, Morgan Shepherd wasting no time.
Well, I think I wouldn't waste any time either, Adam, because of the fact that the Cup cars just came off this track. Oh, Morgan into the outside wall.
Well,
okay, maybe I'd have done that as well. I would have thought, Larry, there was enough heat in this track to where they could hammer down pretty good as they hit the track.
But I will say this, Michael, as cars left the pit road in Cup practice for the first time with no heat in the tires, they had their hands full for a lap or two. Some of that was due to low air pressure, but it's like there's no grip until you get a little bit of heat in the tires.
Oh, that's a
hard lick.
Hard contact. That'll bend the rear end housing and all the suspension in the back.
Now here's what's tough for Morgan Shepherd. There's 41 cars here. Someone's going to go home. Top 33 in this first round will make it on speed, and we'll watch that line. We'll also watch the top 24, obviously the top 24 advancing from round 1 to round 2.
And Bristol Alex is down from Canada, has done a great job. Sorry about that.
To the top.
Well, he about wrecked. So he's done a great job in this 36 car this season. And that 16:01 with that big slide, I mean, that's a good lap. We could have seen him well down into the 15s, Adam.
I like Alex. He's just a great guy, always positive energy down in the garage. And I mentioned Josh Williams, his teammate. If you go down there, you never really know who Josh is. Hard to pick him out because he's working on the race car as hard as anybody else. And then he goes over, puts on the driver's suit, and go out and drives the car really fast and does a great job as one in the ARCA series. Very nice young man.
Michael, what I see, they're tippy-toeing around this racetrack right now.
I guarantee you, B.J. McLeod, he's definitely tippy-toeing because this team last evening, they had to pull an all-nighter, Larry. He blew a tire, broke something going on in turn 1, hit the outside wall, loaded up, drove back to Mooresville, put another car together, came back. I talked to BJ a little while ago. He said, we didn't get any sleep, but we're having a heck of a time, and we're back at Bristol to race. And so kudos to that team for the effort and getting a car on the track this morning.
I bet they won't have to be rocked to sleep tonight when it's all over with said and done.
Well, what about BJ at 16:39 in that backup car? First time on the track. I like that.
41 cars here, I said it. 8 had been out in the first 5 minutes. Around 1, right of your screen, the 40, and that would be Chad Fincham.
Chad had a rough Texas, huh?
Yes, he did.
So we've had about a fourth of the field go out and make a qualifying run, but Alex LeBay still at the top, and he ran a total of 11 laps. So treating this like a little mini practice session.
Well, and in the middle of that 11 laps run, he about wrecked, as Morgan Shepherd did wreck off turn 4, hit the outside wall. They've got that car back on the road, I think, because of what you alluded to earlier, Adam. This is a must situation for him. He's got to try to get in the top 33 in that 89 car.
Morgan's been racing here since the late 70s, early 80s. Actually has 3 poles and 4 wins at this half-mile racetrack.
Well, remember last Saturday, qualified for the race at Texas, marked the 1,000th time he had qualified for an event in NASCAR's top 3 series. And if you go back to that qualifying session, we were rained out after 1 round, and Morgan kind of the benefactor of how crazy things got a week ago in Texas, and hoping to have luck on his side once again today so we can qualify for the event here in Bristol, Tennessee.
Well, he was ready and prepared. He got through inspection, he got on the racetrack, and that got him into that race in Texas. I think that was his same mentality today here at Bristol. He's going to get out there and put a lap down, hopefully good enough to make the race. Unfortunately, he got into the outside wall.
So we've seen 11 cars now, and we're closing on the midway point of this first round. None of the vehicles we've seen out until now, we see Brandon Jones, are those that you feel like are going to be a threat for the pole. Is now the time we're starting to get into where everyone's comfortable to go out and hammer down?
Well, I'm like Michael. I think we've had enough cars out there on the racetrack that the drivers feel at least comfortable that the track, it's got what it's got, and I just think people don't want to be scrambling with 3 or 4 minutes to go, everybody trying to make a lap at one time.
Fastest car so far, 19, Brandon Jones, goes across the start-finish line, heads to turn 1, about wrecked. So look at this big slide down in turn 1. That's when you just try to get a little bit more. He put a good lap in the first time around, hammered it right there. Woo. Car just didn't stick.
But that's what we saw throughout the entire 55 minutes of Cup practice. If you drove it in a little too deep or got just a little bit offline, you absolutely had your hands full, just like we see Vinnie Miller there in the 01 car.
Can you save a little in this first round?
I think if you're Brandon Jones, you can. I think if you're Vinnie Miller, you better try to haul, and that just messed up Brandon's lap right there.
For him, he ran 15:43 in that first 15-minute session. His teammate Brandon Jones on track, he picked it up as well.
Christopher Bell's going to run another lap, slows down to 15:31.
I still feel good about my tires, though, after that, Larry. Go in, know you're going to feel good about transferring and think that it'll cool off enough where you can really hammer down in the last round.
Still feel good about the potential of a new track record?
Well, I don't feel as good. Oh! That's just a hard hit.
Ryan Sieg in the 39.
That team has done such a nice job. Lombard Brothers Gaming came on board out in California, met the owners of Lombard, and they're all in the Xfinity Series. Just a just tells you how quick things can happen and what we talked about earlier, what we're going to see when we go racing this afternoon.
Yeah, this was his second lap of this run right here. You could see up high off the exit of turn 4, Michael.
And that was a solid first lap, and just trying to get a little bit more, and went for it, and the car snapped on him. And I'm telling you, Adam, when you leave that dark part of the racetrack, the grip compound, and get into the lighter concrete, it's over.
Is that because he got beyond where they had put it down, or he just got above it? How would you analyze that, Michael?
I think he just got loose, which put him up outside of it. That happened first, and then second was being up high into the marbles and into the wall.
And that team has roughly 3 hours to get that backup car repaired. And remember, 2018, the backup car has no running gear, no engine whatsoever in it. So there will be a lot of work going on.
You rarely see Ryan Sieg make a mistake. I mean, he understands their budget. He understands where they are as a team, and they bring their best car to the track to race. He rarely makes any mistakes, so that was unfortunate.
Just over 2 minutes into the second round, the clock is stopped for Ryan Sieg, who got into the wall. The 5 cars that have been out there: Sieg, and then Christopher Bell, Daniel Hemrick, Brandon Jones, and Ryan Reed.
Oh my gosh, BJ and this team, it is the Hard Charger Award. And we heard Michael Waltrip telling your story a little bit, but tell us what the middle of the night was like for you guys. What time did you get back here with this backup car?
We actually didn't get back till around 4:45 in the morning, and we had till the garage opened at 7, so we had to be in here by 6 to get everything done, to be in tech in time to be able to qualify. And NASCAR was really good about working with us and letting us get a backup car here, because we're an underfunded team. We don't have a backup car at the track. We were lucky enough that this unfortunate situation happened only 3 hours from Mooresville, so we could go back home, get another car, come back and make it happen. And my guys, they literally, I went back with them. We worked till we loaded the car up at 2 in the morning to head back here, and managed to get here just before 5 a.m.
That's what racing's all about. Good luck today. Good starting spot, 26.
Thank you.
But would you rather it be a quiet weekend like we've seen for Allgaier, or a weekend like his teammate Tyler Reddick has had?
Quiet can be good or bad, right?
Oh, that's another tough break there for Spencer Gallagher. Went 5th fastest, though, but he caught the car of Ryan Preece, and that's going to hurt his pace.
Yeah, Cole Custer just jumped up to 3rd, Allgaier up to 4th, all running in the 15.2s.
They should easily advance. Top 12 will move on, and once again, the 42 is fastest, John Hunter Nemechek.
And he shut
15,
it down, Adam.
17, and why not?
Yeah,
huh?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
60th time Majeski is on track, 13th as of now. Gallagher jumps in the top 10. He's 8th. Preece is now 7th. Very busy with under a minute to go, round 2 qualifying.
Just a quick count. Looks like about 15 drivers out there, Michael.
Don't you think it's interesting we go from, oh, there's no grip out there, to, I think we can set a track record. It happens that fast when you get that traction compound heated up a bit.
Alex LeBay on the bubble as we look at the 22 of Austin Cindric. He's currently 10th, trying to find some more speed. Matt Tifft is on track, driver number 2, currently 7th.
There's about time for 2 more laps with closing in on 20 seconds to go.
I think there's about 15 people out there trying to make those 2 laps, Larry.
Ryan Reed's 11th, but looking for some insurance. How about Shane Lee? Debut this weekend. He's on the bubble in 12th, trying to advance for RCR. That would put all 3 of their cars into that final round of qualifying, keep them alive for the pole.
That bumped Elliott Sadler, our points leader, who had a very tough day yesterday, especially that first practice.
Time has expired, and everyone has shut it down, so we now know the dozen drivers that will advance. Among them, Austin Cindric, Shane Lee, Ryan Reed is able to move on. Good day for Spencer Gallagher going in qualifying. At the top, John Hunter Nemechek, Christopher Bell, Daniel Hemrick, Cole Custer, and Ryan Preece. All 4 of our Dash for Cash guys have some speed. Put 5 minutes on the board and find out who will start at the pole, on the pole at Bristol. And after you finish qualifying, go down and get you something to eat, huh?
I'm telling you, they eat well down there in that garage area these days.
Another 5 minutes on those pork chops. We're going to make sure that chicken's nice and done.
You think all that food's gluten-free? What do you think?
Feel good about it.
Okay.
I'm like Michael. Make sure it's cooked done.
All right.
Make sure it's cooked well.
Give 10s in the first 6 races this year. He had it his career coming into 2018. Chad Norris, that whole group has done a great job. Hey, Shane Lee, career debut, never been to Bristol, 3rd on the board, or excuse me, 5th on the board.
That is a great run for the 3 car. You can see Gallagher yesterday, Adam. I think that could be the best day of practice that team's had.
John Hunter Nemechek, 3rd at a 15-17. Can he pick it up and get the pole? He was fastest in round 1 and round 2. We got some guys in the green, Custer and Allgaier.
Yeah, Allgaier goes to the top at a 15-11 in that 7 car.
Custer says not for long. Cole Custer with a 15.09 as our fastest driver.
We're flirting with getting down into the 14s, which means we'd be knocking on the door of that new track record.
I think John Hunter Nemechek just tried to get a little bit too much, and he pretty much aborted that lap right there, so he's 5th quickest.
Under a minute to go.
That was intense. Things got to going down in a hurry there. Shane Lee with that awesome lap, and then the floodgates open for guys like Allgaier, Custer. That's going to be our front row. You said 7 of the last 9, 5 of the. I know if you start on the front row, you got the best shot at going to victory lane.
And that's pretty much it. I mean, we've got 14 seconds. Nobody's out there on the racetrack right now.
This is a big moment. First ever pole for Stewart Haas Racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
Yeah, his best career start has been 2nd twice.
And this reminds me a little bit, truck race here in 2015. Cole Custer, good qualifying run, led over 100 laps. He was wrecked ultimately by a lap truck, but we know this kid out of California has speed when it comes to this venue.
He's impressive everywhere he goes, Adam. And heck, we even raced iRacing yesterday for a piece in the pre-race show, and he looked pretty good there too.
The hills of Tennessee. Bristol, Virginia, Tennessee. Depends on which side of the street you're standing on. There it is, the last great Coliseum short track race in Bristol, Tennessee. And what a gorgeous Saturday for final practice for the NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series. The weather is absolutely amazing here today. The track temp is going up. It's almost up 20 degrees from earlier practice. Not a cloud hardly in the sky. I think, yeah, the track temp is up, but guys, I have to believe the grip level is going down, and they were slipping and sliding in the earlier practice.
Yeah, I think it's the unknowns right now that would confuse me as a driver and a team is we see all these cars glued to the bottom of the racetrack. We're seeing them get out of the groove and sliding around, but I don't know how much the track is going to be like this when they actually go racing.
Yeah, that first practice, he said,
wow.
He looks nervous.
He said, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just going to come back in. I'm going to regroup and think about it a little bit.
And Larry, you know this as a crew chief, DW, you know this as a driver. When things aren't going well at this racetrack, it is frustration times 5 versus other tracks. You can get lost here in a hurry. When you start to get lost, you start to question everything, and it's hard to pull it back in.
It's actually a little frightening. It happens so quick. You have so little control. It actually becomes almost frightening.
Saw Ryan Blaney, the 12 car, watching practice as his teammate Brad Keselowski in the 2 car out there. And Matt Ryan, he ran one run. It looked like about 14 laps, but looks like some things are going on with that 12 car.
That was the plan this practice session, is to go out and make 2 long runs now. They've been battling, trying to get the car a little bit more on the free end, battling tight in the first session. I just spoke with Ryan. He said still trying to work on the turn in this race car. This group finished 10th here last fall for the night race. And you were talking about the PJ1 and the mixture that they use. 80% PJ1, 20% the dilution product to try to get it to adhere longer to the racetrack. So special magical formula to make for fantastic racing here in Thunder Valley.
But it's almost like the longer it's down, I'm starting to hear that word tight a little bit now.
Well, and I almost won that with William Byron here. We're seeing as he's getting up out of that bottom groove, and I wonder if it's because the front is not turning as good. Sees some bounce as he goes over the bumps into turn 1, and it looks like as he gets out of that groove, it starts to pull the back end around, and he's getting really loose off the corner.
Cars all over the place.
Vince, he looks like he's got his hands full.
Yeah, and Jeff, you hit it, man. I mean, it's exactly what he has been talking about. He just doesn't feel like he can get the front end to work like he wants. It just chatters the front end a little bit too much and not comfortable for him. And he says it's okay for a few laps, as you see Crew Chief Darian Grubb on the left-hand side. But Williams says after a few laps, it really starts chattering the front end, and that's their issue.
He's way down the practice sheet, DW.
I can actually, when the car comes off the corner, the left front is kind of reared up in the air a little bit. I think they might need to work on their shock package.
Guys, it's almost like drivers are starting to take different approaches to the entrance of the corner. Take a look at Joey Logano just a few minutes ago.
I think he's going down the back.
Yeah.
Let's see if he gets early or late.
Oh, he got loose real early. Yeah. Before he even turned in, that was off throttle on the brake. That back of that 22 car stepped out on him and got loose. He never even thought about turning the wheel.
That was not an intended approach.
No. And I tell you, you can't, it's just too treacherous to make a big wide sweeping turn in right now. You're going in pretty shallow. You're going in pretty low to these corners because you want to pick up that traction control, that traction compound as quick as you can.
Well, I said at the beginning of practice, they call it happy hour. I'm just not sure anybody's happy yet.
Great shot here. Love everything going on with the suspension, and also look at this right rear tire as it goes into the banking and how that sidewall flexes and moves as the tire patch is gripped to the racetrack. Shows you how much movement there is in the sidewall and just how much load.
Yeah, just think, Jeff, as they lower that air pressure, that increases. The lower you go with that air pressure, the more that sidewall is going to flex.
This is when I have a much greater, I already appreciate Goodyear a lot, but I have an even greater appreciation for what they build in a tire, that it can go through that for as long as they do. See the 47 jump sideways.
Boy, Blaney just got under Almirola there and just about turned him around. Woo, that was close.
Well, we know Ryan just went back out there to make this practice run, and you know, when you get up out of the traction compound and there's no rubber up there, there can be a little bit of concern about possible tire wear.
It's kind of hard to tell when I'm there because, you know, the bottom concrete is so black and the apron's black, so it kind of blends together. So, yeah, sometimes I'm like, I'm too far low, but then, you know, I try to hit my marks and then I might be a little too high. But, yeah, I am getting on the apron some for sure.
That forward, see quite a bit of wear on the outside, but the temps look fine, so I figured it was from the apron.
Yeah, I mean, the apron is black and the traction compound's black, but there's quite a bit of difference in that transition.
Well, and this is one of the few tracks that we go to that they actually paint a line right around that bottom groove, and so there is no paint that's separating from the asphalt to the apron, because normally the asphalt's white and the you know, the apron is painted black, or the tone of it, but not today with all that traction compound. It all blends into one.
Yeah, see, I never wanted to get on the apron getting in the corner, but I always ate that apron up off of turn 2 particularly. I get those left side tires down on that apron to get that extra bite off the corner.
Boy, they have really been working hard with this backup car, Kevin Harvick. Right now, he's 29th quickest. Matt, we saw him out of the race car just a little bit ago.
Larry Mack, when you go back to that first practice session this morning, they just could not connect the corners on the 4 car. And when you look at the changes they made between sessions, it did not help. Kevin went out and ran 6 laps and said, we are out of the racetrack, all over the racetrack. As you can see, he worked himself out of the PJ1 right there. We need to make some big swings. They brought it back, and Rodney said, we will go back to where we were at in the first practice session. We'll give you more of an update here shortly, but it hasn't been the stellar of days so far for Harvick.
How quick things can change. Just a little under 4 minutes to go here in final practice. Outside pole sitter Kurt Busch has tagged the wall. I guess the only good news, they already have the backup car unloaded out of that 41 hauler.
Yeah.
And it hasn't left the racetrack.
There it sits. Look at that guy walking by. Oh,
boy,
man.
I've seen similar damage to his car in previous race. I think this maybe a year ago.
Here.
Go forever. All right, we'll do.
Whoa.
Wow.
Just got loose.
Boy, you could hear the RPM come up on that thing.
We're around on the back. Just hold the brakes there.
He gets loose off turn 2, and he wrecks and hits the wall all the way down here in 3.
I really don't think they're going to be able to fix this.
No, they can't fix that.
But that just shows you how on edge you are here. You've got to get the car to roll through the center, and what does that do? That really loosens up the entry, and especially the exit.
I just didn't see that coming. That car has been so good.
Boy, that's going to be a hard leg. Let's hear what Kurt had to say about what happened over there.
Wow, I'm really sorry. All good, man. You're just trying hard.
Well, all I know is it's getting crowded at the back of the field for tomorrow's race because Kevin Harvick will be there, Jimmy Johnson, and now Kurt Busch with a backup car.
Again, this was a long run. He was on a very long run. We're seeing the grip go away drastically towards the end of a long run, and I think that was just him, trying to manage that slide, that grip, and see what the car was going to do for tomorrow's race. Wow, man, I did not see that coming.
Yeah, just remember Boyer there just a second ago. I think he ran into the back of somebody too.
Yeah, this was on the back straightaway as Clint Boyer in the 14. You're going to see him run up on the back of the 6 car of Trevor Bayne.
Yeah, it looks like Trevor Bayne checks up.
Yeah, just checked up enough to give him the line, and Clint didn't get down quick enough.
Yeah,
pretty
That's
nice
quite a bit of
chunk
damage.
Out
Yeah, yeah. Both the cars, left rear of the 6 and the right front of the 14. See Brad Keselowski in that 2 car.
See, Larry, I think this is a product of that traction stuff wearing off too, because as it wears, the grip goes away and the track changes. I think that's why the drivers are really fighting right now, is what's this track going to be like 50, 100 laps into the race.
And I just question, DW, is it that the compound's wearing off, or is the rubber building up on the compound? And they're definitely losing grip.
I don't know what it's one or the other, or maybe all those things, but it's definitely a challenge.
Yeah, it's probably a multitude of things going on. Obviously, guys on long runs on old tires, track temperature coming up, the traction compound changing, a lot of stuff going on at one time.
Whew. That's making me dizzy, and I'm standing up here.
Ryan Blaney, that was actually Paul Menard in that 21 car, and that will end final practice. So David Reagan has paced his practice session. Oh, me, but you know what I just heard? All the crew chiefs going, it's over. Coming up next, NASCAR Race Hub, followed by NASCAR Race Day, and then Xfinity Series Racing, 300 laps. There's Michael Waltrip and Shannon Spake. Keep my seat warm. Joey Logano is going to join Adam and Michael in the booth as far as a guest analyst. Now, make a note. Time changes for tomorrow. NASCAR Race Day on FS1 at 11:30 a.m. Then flip it over to Fox for the pre-race show, and the green flag at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for the Bristol NASCAR Cup Race. 500 miles of short track racing. Guys, I have had a blast.
You did a great job leading us here, Larry. Thank you very much.
You've done so well.
Well, it's been fun.
I'll follow you anywhere.
I got to get to the Hollywood Hotel, guys. NASCAR Race Hub next.